Hey everyone, welcome to our Sunday night team training call. And as you can see, I'm still in my dad's office, a different background. That's one of the things that I think I'm most excited about my new house is I designed my office first, and I knew I wanted a pretty backdrop. So yeah, I have a special wall that was designed just for these Zoom calls and training. So you will know that our new house is done when you see a gorgeous dark gray background. And not all of this, but I'm locked in my dad's office and I am just over the moon excited tonight to share a special guest and friend tonight. So Janine and I go back years and years and years and years. And I think it's one of the funny things and interesting things about network marketing is we are such good networkers. And I have so many what I would call dear friends and a lot of people that I've never met in real life. And it's just been in this world of network marketing that I have connected with some of the most talented and giving and servant leader hearts, people that just have been such a blessing in my life. So I am really, really excited for a lot of reasons. I want you guys to remember, for those of you that don't know, that are new, or if you're watching this recording later, 10 years ago, you guys, I had absolutely no idea what network marketing was. And when I accidentally stumbled onto it just by finding our products, it was something where I was like, well, I don't really know what this is. And the good news was I did not have a negative opinion of it. However, I learned quickly that there's a lot of people out there that have negative opinions of what network marketing is. And when I realized about 7 or 8 months into my journey that this was a business model, that this was a legit thing, that I actually got upset that I had not been introduced to it sooner. But I want you guys to hear me out because it was in reading The Flip Flop CEO. I vividly remember this. I vividly remember flipping through these pages and I was like, y'all, there's another way. Like there's something else out there. Like I'm punching a time clock working 12-hour night shifts away from my babies. And every page that I flipped in this book, I was like, you've got to be kidding me. Why are people not shouting from the rooftops that there is another way? So I am really, really excited tonight to turn over. I want you guys to listen to Janine, and we can go back and forth if you want, Janine, or I'm just going to give you the floor because when I read this book, I want everybody to hear from you about your vision behind why this is even a thing. And then your second book that you did, If the Shoe Fits, because this is something where I now passionately want to lead with the business opportunity because I know my belief is unshakable that network marketing is a business opportunity. It's a possible new career for people like me who didn't even know I needed something like this. It was the answer to my prayers that I didn't know I needed to pray yet. So you guys, I am just so excited for you guys to hear from author and friend of mine, Janine Finney. And Janine, can you just share with everybody? I know a lot of people, because they're on my team, they know they know about this book because I'm always talking about how it kind of launched my mindset into the right place. But I'm just going to let you take it away and share your vision about why this book, why network marketing, and all of the wonderful things that you're doing for the network marketing space.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. I am honored to be here. And yeah, so I feel exactly the same way you do, Sarah. I feel like if people understood this business, there would be nobody doing anything else because it's brilliant. So my passion, though, just I'll give you a little bit of background as to where it came from and why the book happened, is that I was not like Sarah. I was the skeptic. My daughter is the one that discovered network marketing after graduating from college, and she got her first job and then her second job and her third job. And she was miserable every Sunday night. She would cry and just absolutely could not believe that people did this. And so she just is somebody that craves freedom. She does not fit into the traditional 9-to-5 box. And so she came home and told me about it. And she said, surely you've never heard of this thing called network marketing, because you would have told me about it. And she found out very quickly that I had heard of it. I had had an experience 30 plus years ago. It was the way that people used to do the business. It was a bait and switch. I was invited over for dinner. I got there, found out that it was actually a business opportunity meeting. And I thought I was the only guest, and there were a bunch of cars parked out front. And I went in, and it was, the screen came down and the circles started being drawn. And I was really upset, and I just swore that I would never have anything to do with this kind of business. And so Lori and I battled for a year, and I was trying to convince her that she was being super naive and she didn't know what she was getting into. And she just kept telling me, Mom, this is brilliant. I don't get why you feel this way about it. And what I discovered after I jumped in with Lori finally, after a year, I did my due diligence, and I realized that I was basing my whole perception of network marketing on one experience. And we wouldn't do that with anything else. And, if we went to a restaurant, we wouldn't swear off of restaurants, or, if we had a bad realtor about anything, we wouldn't just chalk it all up to the whole profession. And so I jumped in with her finally, and we got started in the business. We did really well after a year. But what I realized on the journey is that there are a whole lot of people that still are operating with outdated beliefs. There's a lot of people like me out there that either had that experience or they've heard about that experience from someone. And even though I think today it's a lot better than it was when we wrote the books, there still is my generation. I'm a baby boomer. And we still influence other people, so somebody comes home excited and talks to someone like me, and I was the biggest dream stealer for my daughter. And so as we were going through building our business, it seemed wrong to me to continue to go on and not try to set the record straight. It felt like, there are so many misconceptions and so many half-truths that somebody needs to stop and really set the record straight. And we wanted to do it in a really sassy way, because the way people treat us, we wanted to kind of be a little bit in their face, because we are the ones really that are brilliant. We're the ones that are, working in our flip-flops and having the freedom to plan our work around our life instead of our life around our work. So we wrote the Flip-Flop CEO, and we wrote it to be used by network marketers to enlighten the people in their circle of influence. So we wrote it with the idea in mind that if Lori had come home and started talking to me, and I was saying one thing and I felt one way and she felt the other, that she could just hand me this little book and say, read the first 3 chapters of this, and then let's talk about this, because it seems like we're talking about 2 different things. So we wrote it to be used as that kind of resource. And what happened instead is that leaders in network marketing bought the books for their team. So we never even imagined that happening. So really, the people that have read most of our books are people that are already in network marketing. The reason is because it does help to validate the brilliance of this business, and the fact that no matter how many people around you don't get it, you are on the right path. You are way ahead of the game. So the book is really good for building your own belief, but truly it's really a resource that is being underused in the way that we had intended. And I'll talk a little bit more about that. But the other thing is the second book. So what happened was after we wrote the Flip-Flop CEO, I had some people that were just ideal business partners, that were women, gals that were already professional or successful in their other professions. So like a realtor, an attorney, a person that owned a boutique. We had all these different people, and we had them read the book and give us their honest feedback. And they came back and said, oh my gosh, this is completely different than I ever thought it was. I would totally think about doing this, but how would I know how to choose a company? And how would I know if I would be good at this? I've always been a teacher or an attorney or whatever. How do I know if my resume fits with being a network marketer? And again, we found another need that we felt was not being met, because there really aren't any books out there that bridge the gap between traditional 9-to-5s and network marketing. And before we get into this business, that's the way we're going to look at things. If we've always had a job and always been in that 9-to-5 world, when we go to another job, we want to know if our resume fits and if we're qualified for it. So Does the Shoe Fit? It was written for to bridge the gap and really help somebody understand the differences between traditional 9-to-5s and network marketing. And they are two different worlds. I think we forget sometimes just how differently they are once we get into this, but it's very different to trade our time for a paycheck than it is to work for freedom. This is a business where we have to be willing to experience delayed gratification. I mean, we are working really hard for a short time so that we don't have to work really hard for a long time. And so it's really different than traditional 9-to-5s. So there needs to be some way to explain that to people. So that's what the two books fill, the need that the two books fill. And what I found is, Does the Shoe Fit? Is really good for someone that thinks they have tried network marketing. There's a lot of people out there that when you talk to them, they'll say, oh yeah, I tried that, it didn't work for me. And unfortunately, what happened is that probably they were brought in with a friend's doing this business and says, come on, let's do this with me. And it's kind of the blind leading the blind. And so the person gets in, and they really don't have the right expectations. They don't have any idea what they're doing. And so they get back out. And it's one more person that is out there saying, I tried network marketing and it didn't work for me. And so that is another whole stigma in itself. And what I found is that a lot of people that get into this business become very comfortable talking, or very excited to talk about the products. Maybe maybe they've had their own personal experience, like I know you did, Sarah, and they are just really excited to share that with people. But when it comes to sharing the business, they're not as comfortable. Or some people are really comfortable sharing the business and not as comfortable sharing the product. So you usually have one area that you feel more comfortable with. So what I found is that these books are really, really good for people that maybe are not as comfortable talking about the business, because a lot of times you don't even know how to start the conversation or how to bridge that gap. And so the books allow you to open up the conversation. And there are a lot of different scenarios for doing that. I have some scripts that I can even share with Sarah, and you guys can, use those. But they really make it easy to talk about this. And what I found is that if you just give someone a book and you ask them to read it, they're not going to do it. It's going to sit on a nightstand. It's going to, sit around, and the person's never going to open it. And my goal, my passion is for us to bring clarity to this topic. I mean, I want people to really I want it to be the kind of thing that when somebody says, what do you do? And you say, I'm in network marketing, the person says, wow, how cool. Because that's really what they should be saying if they understood it. But I think a lot of times what happens is that people are so used to network marketers sort of pouncing on anyone that is breathing and not really establishing a relationship and doing it in a professional way. And so, we kind of keep perpetuating this stigma. So I think that first of all, I think there has never been a better time to be in this business. I mean, there are so many people out there that are absolutely praying for what we have. And the biggest challenge is that they don't recognize it. And they don't recognize it because there are so many misconceptions. People see people on social media. We experience people that are network marketers, and that's how we think all network marketers act. That's what we think it looks like to do the business. And so it's really, really important to educate someone before they are going to get into this business about what it is that they're holding. And most of the time when people have been in network marketing and they say it didn't work, it's because they never really appreciated the opportunity that they were holding in their hands. And so that is what the books are going to do. So it's really going to be a matter of the way that you set it up. And there can be just all kinds of scenarios. If you have somebody on your chicken list, as an example, I was going to my hormone doctor, and every time I would go in to see her, she would talk about all these trips that she had done and how she just seemed like a real free spirit that liked to travel a lot. And I would always think, how does she stand coming into this office every day? And I really wanted to share network marketing with her. And I didn't know how I was going to go from being the patient sitting in the seat to talking to my doctor about this business. And so when I went in on my next appointment, and I just said, I have a really strange request. I need to get feedback from somebody that is already very successful. And I just want to ask you if you will do this for me. I need you to read the introduction. I gave her Does This Shoe Fit? I need you to read the introduction of this book. It'll take you a half an hour. Will you do that for me? And she said, sure, I'll do that. And I said, okay, can you do it in 2 weeks or in 1 week? I need it in a week. Do you think you'd be able to do that? And she said, yeah, I can do that. And I said, okay, so we'll talk again in a week. So a week later, I checked back in with her, and she said, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry, I haven't done it yet, but I promise, give me 1 more week. So I gave her 1 more week. I checked back in with her, and she said, oh my gosh, there are no accidents. She said, I've had a friend in Hawaii that's been trying to talk to me about her network marketing business for years, and I would not give her the time of day because I just didn't get it. And so she changed her perception from that experience. And so for somebody that you don't know how you're going to bridge the gap with, or if you're in a situation where what my real dream is if we could send home every new person, because when you're brand new is when you go home, you're all excited and you talk to your mom or your spouse or your best friend. And as soon as you start talking about how excited you are, they say, oh no, you're not going to do one of those things, are you? Those things don't work. And they just pour these buckets of cold water on the new person. And the new person is not qualified. I mean, they just got introduced to this themselves, and they're not qualified to address all of the objections. So what I love about the book is that you can just, the new person can say, oh my gosh, it sounds like whatever you've experienced is very different than what I've experienced. Would you just read? So if it's the Flip Flop CEO, I say, would you read the first 3 chapters? It'll take you a half an hour, and then let's talk about it. Because I really want to hear what you have to say, but it doesn't even seem like it's the same thing. And what happens is that if somebody will commit, and it has to be, really just as direct as I've said. You have to really ask them and get a commitment that they'll do it in a week, and then you follow up with them. And every time that I have done that or had somebody do that, and all the feedback I have gotten is that person comes back completely changed. And what I love about using a book is that it's a third-party resource. It's objective, it's unbiased, it gets you out of that debate situation that can happen. It duplicates, which is the name of the game in our business, and it can be used by a brand new person. If you've got people that are coworkers that are talking about, they wish they could do this or they wish they could do that, and they're always talking about things that you're thinking, gosh, I want to talk to them about the business, but I don't know how. It's really easy to give them the book and say, I have no idea if this is going to be interesting to you, if you're going to find this interesting, but I want you to promise me that you will tell me the truth. I want you to read the first 3 chapters and then give me your honest feedback. The only way we're going to know is if you decide for yourself, and this will help you understand what it is that I'm doing. And if you really let the person off the hook and you let them know that they're, you're not attached to the outcome, you just want them to be able to make an informed decision themselves, people will do that and they appreciate it and they come back. I've had so many people come back and say, oh my gosh, I was thinking about my sister the whole time I read this, or my neighbor. And so what can also happen is that you can end up getting a lot of referrals. But what I have seen happen with the book that I love is that it creates more connection instead of exclusion. When we first are excited about this, a lot of times the people in our circle of influence don't understand. And so there is this whole division that occurs and things get weird. And so if we can just, and even if you've been in the business for a long time and you have that situation with people around you, you can just say, you know what, you are so important to me, and I really care that you understand what I'm doing. And it feels like what you think I'm doing and what I think I'm doing are not the same thing. Would you be willing to spend a half an hour and read this, and then let's talk about it? And it can create a completely different situation. I think it's important for people to have respect for what they're holding and understand that it is going to be a delayed gratification situation. It's not going to be the same as trading time for money, and have the right expectations as far as the timeline and how long it's going to take. But it's really about speaking from your heart to their heart. And the other thing is that it's good when you're asking somebody to read the book, to ask them if they prefer Audible or Kindle or a hard copy. Because if it's somebody that is never going to read a book, they listen to books all the time, or they love Kindle, but they don't have books. So really, you want to ask them which they prefer, and then you give it to them in the way that they prefer. And with Kindle and Audible, you can actually share the book. Once you have bought the book, you can share it with other people. You can load it out and let somebody else listen to it or read it that way. So what I want to do is help you get the books back. This is a business tool. And so you don't want to just give them away and then have them, you never see them again. That's why you really do want to have that be an agreement that they're going to read it in a certain amount of time, and then you're going to get back together with them and they can give you the book back. And a lot of times, even if you ask them to just read a half an hour, they are going to read the whole book. Mm-hmm. That's completely different. It's amazing too. Sometimes you think you know what somebody's objection is. And, maybe your objection was, I'm not a salesperson. And you think that that's what somebody else is thinking. And the feedback that I got from those 10 women that I asked to read the book and give their honest feedback, I got such insightful information from them. I learned that there are a lot of people that think network marketing products are inferior instead of superior. So these gals came back and just were really amazed at, finding out that. So there's a lot of different things, and we call out every single elephant in the room. So whatever it is that anybody is thinking, any of the objections you've heard, we're going to address them, and we're going to address them in a way that is, we acknowledge that, they're there, but they're only getting half of the truth. There is another side of the story, and we really want people to be informed.
Absolutely. So I'm going to jump in really quick. You hit the nail on the head on so many things. And I want to go back for a second because I want everybody to know and understand that not only, so it's funny because I've had all of the perspectives that you mentioned. I was the new person who was so excited that I had found something. And then when I started to share with a few people, I didn't understand why they thought I was the crazy one. So for me, the very first thing was it armed me with accurate and important information to be able to build my belief, which in turn created a posture of confidence. And so if anybody here, no matter how long you've been on your network marketing journey, how many of you would admit that you've got that one friend or that one coworker where you would try to bring network marketing up and they would just shut you down, right? And you would kind of cower back like, I don't even know what to say to this person. The information and the stories that are in the Flip Flop CEO made me feel like, bring it on. You can argue all you want. You can tell me you don't think this works. You can tell me you don't think it's legit. I can prove otherwise. And when, especially when it's like you were saying, Janine, about a heart issue where you have a relationship and a connection with somebody, sometimes you're just at a loss for words. And to be able to have the information to be able to share it, not just from you, knowing that you can now come from a posture of confidence, knowing that network marketing is absolutely amazing, but also that it's a third party tool. Sarah Marble doesn't have to be the one validating it to my friend. I can say, well, there's these really awesome, this mom-daughter duo that wrote this, who are not only successful in this space, but also give all the reasons why. And I was thumbing back through it tonight. It's funny because all of my books are packed and I knew this would happen. I have such a deep emotional attachment to the, top books that have meant something for me. I was like, Dad, this is a test. I hope you don't fail it. I was like, I need a copy of the Flip Flop CEO. And you guys, my dad pulled through. He had a copy on his bookshelf. And I was like, yes. But knowing that this was so pivotal, one, in building my belief in network marketing for myself, but then two, also knowing that it armed me with the third-party validation. And I love what you said about, hey, this may or may not be for you. I would love your opinion. I would love for you to think about, because how many times we've heard so many stories about, we would never approach a doctor or a dentist or a lawyer or somebody because they're probably happy with their job. They're probably making all the money that they want to be making. And how many of us know that that's not true? We've talked to the people who are overworked and underpaid and know that the time and dollar thing, that whole, there's only 24 hours in a day and you can only sign up for so much overtime at your cap, right? It's funny, before I came onto this call, all the kids are out in the other room and they've got some friends over too. And I asked them would you take $1 million today, or would you take a penny doubled every day for 30 days? And the analogy about the compound interest and the delayed gratification, they really had to think about it. And I just had so much fun reading them that one page about residual income and exponential growth and what can happen if you truly do invest. Because how many of us have had that person that joined and they were so excited and we were so excited and yes, I finally found my rock star. And then 4 days later, it's like, where did they go? What happened? Because they talked to a spouse or a friend who completely shut them down, and that shut them down rather than them having the information that they needed to continue on with their journey. So I'm renewed and inspired again, because I will be honest with you, as belief building as these books have been for me, I did not use it as a tool. And I'm starting to make a list for, okay, who do I know that's really successful? Who do I know that's already a professional in their space? And maybe I can just say, hey, I'd love for you to take a look at what I'm doing. Can you check out a few chapters in this book, just for their opinion? Because guess what? It starts a conversation, right? It might be that they say, that's awesome, more power to you. And I'm telling you, 10 years in, I still have a gazillion people who have no idea what I do. They kind of laugh at me like, oh, you've got that little side gig, or, oh, it's really your husband that wears the scrubs who's making all the money and building your dream house. And I'm still not very tactful with letting them know the truth about about how that works in our family and who's building the new office, the home office, in our dream home. But people still don't know and fully understand. And like you said, starting out, they think it's the switch, bait and switch. You're going to get invited for dinner and then someone's going to show you a whiteboard and start drawing circles. My husband had that happen, right? You guys remember, I was sleeping with the enemy. He was my number one skeptic because that had happened to him. That was his only knowledge of what this network marketing was. And that's why it took him a whole year, an entire year of me saying, but all these stories said it could happen. Like, I believe this could work for me, because there was a whole section of stories of all the people who network marketing worked for in all these different companies. And I was like, I know that can be me. So Janine, I know that this is a labor of love for you and your daughter, and both of the books are absolutely brilliant. Like I said, I know a lot of people have heard me talk about it just because they're on my team and they know that, one, I'm a personal growth and development junkie, and two, that I adore books. But honestly, this was one of the first three. There are 3 books that I read in that very first year of network marketing. This was top 3 of absolutely just mind blowing. So can you share with everybody just where they can purchase, how they can get it, how they can use it, and I'll let you take it from there.
Yes, thank you so much. Yes, so you can actually, the hard copy of the book, the little soft book that Sarah is holding up, we have those on sale through our website. So if you go to theflipflopceo.com and you use the code CLARITY, you can get the books for $5 a piece. So either book, and as many books as you want. And then you can also buy them through Amazon, but they're going to be the regular price. We can't control the price there. Audible and Kindle are available on Amazon, or you can buy those through our website as well. But again, those are not discounted because they're controlled by Amazon. But the good thing, honestly, about the Audible and Kindle, as I mentioned, is that you can share those. So, I mean, you buy it one time and you can just share it with other people. So that works, really nicely as well, because you do want to make sure you're giving them the book in a way that they're going to read it. And it really is important. The setup is really important. I talked with a leader from another company, and she said, "Oh my gosh, I love your book. I give it to all my team when they promote." And I said, "Oh, I'm so glad you do, but that's not the way we wanted it to be used." And she said, "What do you mean?" And I told her, I said, "You just need to give it to the person, ask them to read the first 3 chapters of the Flip Flop CEO, or the introduction of Does This Shoe Fit? It'll take a half an hour, get their commitment, and then tell them you're going to be back in touch." And she said, "Okay, I've got somebody, I'll try that." So she went and did it. And she called me back and she said, she was talking to the golf pro at her country club, and she said the girl was, understood the products, but she didn't understand how people made all this money. And so she gave her the book, asked her to do that, and the gal ended up coming back and joining her team. So it really does matter that you set it up the right way. And for somebody like, if you're making a list of all these people that you really respect and admire, say, I really respect you, and I would love to get your take on this. I would love to hear what you think about it, because I admire you so much. And I know in sales, we're taught not to ask those kind of open-ended questions like that and say, "What do you think?" But honestly, I've got to tell you, it works. It works. People come back, and if they really think you're counting on them to give you their honest feedback, they'll do it for you. Again, if you ask it in the right way, and they're going to change their mind. They're going to come back, and and if it is somebody that's really successful and, is still not interested, they're going to think of somebody else. And now you've got that person out looking for you as well. They would have never thought about giving you referrals before. They would have never thought about sending anyone. And right now is the time to do that, because there are so many people out there that are looking for an online virtual, business in a box, a franchise. I mean, there are people that are searching for this. And the reason that they're not doing it is because they have an inaccurate perception. So it is my absolute passion to bring clarity to this topic. And we also have a podcast now too that I want to get you on, Sarah, at some point, called MLM You Decide. And it's basically where we just interview people and share the the good side of network marketing, because there's just so many misunderstandings out there.
Absolutely. That sounds amazing. And like I said, 10 years ago, I didn't know what I didn't know. It was, I didn't know it was out here. I had heard, oh, you can get your makeup from Mary Kay. I had zero concept of the fact that this could be a career. And I still to this day am just, one, I wish I had found it 20 years ago instead of 10 years ago, but to be 44 years old and know what I know and being on this journey for 10 years, there are so many people out there. And it's one of those things where you hit the nail on the head again with, in a time where, I mean, you guys, every day is just another challenge and struggle and adversity. We keep saying, thank goodness 2020 is over and done with. But at a time where so many people, their jobs were unsure, they needed to be home, virtual learning, all of this, to be able to know that network marketing is thriving and that, sales continue to rise. We're in the health and wellness space. So we have products that are so relevant that people need, but to be able to know that I don't have to leave my house if I don't want to, and I can work from home and build an amazing business is just absolutely phenomenal. So, Janine, I want to say thank you so much for your time and for this book and this resource. I appreciate you so much.
I appreciate you being a part of our books and sharing your story. So thank you, and thank you for the opportunity. And if I can help anybody in any way, please don't hesitate to let me know, and I'll give you the link and the code again and the scripts. So if anybody's interested in kind of reading those, you'll have those as well.
Perfect. I will post those on our team page. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate you. And thank you guys so much for jumping on. We will chat more about this on our team page. And I just appreciate you. Thank you so much, Janine.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Have a great night.